As a beginner artist, you see all these illustrators who draw books, advertisements, in short, big projects. And you may ask yourself, well, how do they get these projects and how can I, a small, unknown illustrator, start? To understand this, I went back to my own first commissions and will share where the clients came from, what lessons to learn in order to become professional, and the approximate income to give you a general idea but still remain discreet out of respect for the clients. Hopefully this will help you see what's possible and where to start in your own art journey. So let's go. Comics and journalism. I'm combining two commissions into one because it's a continuity. Illustrating slice of life comics about high school life, first in the school newspaper and when I left school for the National Youth Service magazine Slam. The aim was to make people laugh once a term, then once a month between 2010 and 17. So yes, it was quite a long project. How did the client find me? Actually, I was the one who approached both papers in high school because I just wanted to share fun stories with as many students as possible, and for Slam because they put out a call for motivated young students to be part of the editorial staff free topic. In both cases, I sent an email with some sample pages and said I love drawing, I think a fun comic would be a great idea for your high school audience, which I know well since I'm a high schooler myself. And in both cases, they said yes. For both, there was no remuneration. We were voluntarily high school students. And I know people always warn against working for free and advertising doesn't pay your bills, and it's definitely true. But I also think that, especially if you're just starting out, if you still have the stability of being a student or employee with no pressure of money whatsoever, it can help you gain first experiences, get references for your portfolio, and especially gain confidence for your future big projects. Which brings me to the lesson of this commission. If you're passionate about your project, if you believe in it, and if it's your choice to work for free out of conviction and not out of fear of losing a client, in short, if you feel that this is what you really want to do, then go ahead and have fun. Especially when you start young, people are always supportive and want to give you a chance. With Slam, I had no financial return, but the editorial staff offered me movie tickets and printed my ads when I published a new manga, or even my drawing tutorials to advertise my online courses. The magazine was distributed to every school in the country, which was my absolute target audience. And most importantly, I felt really respected and appreciated for my work, which is very important for our self-esteem as a beginner artist. Logo for a beauty salon. My first commercial commission came in while I was still a student, creating a logo and matching business card for a beauty salon. The client approached me in the shop where I was giving manga classes at the time. There were posters promoting the course, she saw them and she came in to discuss her project after one of my workshops. Lesson number 1, your potential customers are everywhere, but they need to know that you exist. In this case, a simple illustrated ad poster allowed the client to see that there was a local artist, and she approached me. If you're interested in this method, I refer you to my video on flyers and posters to get your name out there. Anyway, about the money, I can say it now because it was a big mistake and the shop doesn't exist anymore. I billed 150 euros. Because when you're 17 years old, you obviously have no idea about the prices, and there was also nobody to guide me. I realized life was harsher than I had imagined, as the payment also got delayed a few times, and I started getting quite desperate about seeing the money. So lesson number 2, that's when I created a contract, because I wanted to work on more commissions, but it was annoying to chase people for many corrections or failed payments or whatever. So I really insist on a deposit now before starting the process, and a contract to protect you with the number of returns, the deadlines, the rights. This will protect you if you want to become professional with commercial orders. And here again, I have a video to guide you in detail through the negotiations with a real client. Illustrating novels. In 2014, I started exhibiting at Artist Alley and doing conventions, and that's why I got many clients for commissions and manga classes. So at my second convention, one of my booth neighbors approached me, who is an author looking for someone to create character designs for his books. And if you've been following my channel for a while, yes, it's Claude Pfeiffer and his sci-fi Serateran series, with whom I still work today, and through his entire creative process I've also documented at length to help you see how a commission works in real life with a real client. My rates have evolved over the years and are priced per illustration. Rather than a fixed price for the complete order, this is useful when you have several visuals to produce, as it is easy to adapt. The client knows the unit price and can easily modulate the final invoice according to his budgets by either removing or adding visuals. For our artist lesson, and having worked with Claude for years, I'll say that a happy client is a client who will come back and recommend you to other people. So it is important to maintain cordial and respectful relations. And second lesson, it's also okay to raise your prices as you grow. This commission actually started when I was a student, and I was scared to death to charge more when I started freelancing. However, I needed to start paying VAT, social security, health insurance, taxes, and many more, and it would have been impossible to make a living with art by keeping those amateur rates. When clients see that you're constantly improving, that your work adds value to them, that you are professional and respectful, they will adapt because they want you and no one else for your style, for your expertise, and your personality. Card game project. At the same convention as Claude, I was approached by a visitor, this time to create a complete card game with 54 illustrations. After my logo experience, I gave him my newly created contract, he signed it, and this was the beginning of 6 months of work. This project seemed huge to me, and I remember that if I calculated in unit price as I was doing with Claude, I came up with around 1,000 euros. At the time, this seemed outrageous to the little student that I was, so I offered a global package well below that. Fun fact, the client paid me the full deposit in cash during our meeting, smiling that this was the amount he earned in 1 hour with his job. And I realized I had once again totally messed up my prices. Fear is your worst ally in your artist business. I'm speaking globally for all my commissions at the time. There was no one in the industry to help me, and I set my rates totally randomly out of fear of losing clients, out of fear of not being able to make a living and landing miserably on the streets. My rates were so low because I thought this was a good argument. You can't refuse me because I'm the cheapest one among the competition, like facepalm. Your selling point is that you offer unique, bespoke designs and years of experience so that your client has a unique project that no one else will have. Low prices are okay when you're just starting out, when you're still living with mom and dad, but not when you need to make a living. The longer you wait to build up to your actual worth, the more projects you'll have to take on to make ends meet. And the more stressed you'll be, and the more tired you'll be because you're working all the time for next to nothing. And if you're like me, I actually ended up with burnout after 3 years as a professional and wanted to totally quit everything because it was just exhausting. If you want to go pro, I just recommend that you Google the usual illustration rates or check out a book. I'll link it in the description and it will definitely help you. And yes, some of these prices seem huge when you're just starting out, but these are the rates that you can actually make a living with. And if the client says it's too expensive, well, you've got written proof that these are the standard rates in the industry and that it is worth. Website illustration. Another, let's say, more commercial commission around the same time consisted in creating visuals for a website, like homepage, 400 for error, etc. Now, I'm not really sure, but if I remember correctly, the client contacted me on my Facebook page, thanks to a newspaper article that presented my work. As far as money is concerned, it was the "I have a network, you will be paid in advertising and visibility" situation. Unfortunately, nothing happened after the commission was online, and unlike Slam, where I felt responsible respected with a real exchange. This new client was a really nice human, but I decided not to accept any more work in exchange for advertising because it just didn't give me any concrete result, and I was really thinking about becoming a freelance artist, and thus I needed to earn more money. Once again, if you're not 100% sure you want to work on this project and there's even an ounce of fear of I'm going to miss out on so much fame and glory, I'm sorry, but it is not going to happen. It's really important to think about where you want to invest your time. Manga Chateau d'Westpelt. The next commission, and this was big and serious, was to illustrate the history of a castle renovated into a luxury hotel in the north of Luxembourg. The result was a brochure in French, English and Japanese, distributed at a tourism fair in Japan and at the hotel itself. The client was Yannick Rout, manager of Chateau d'Westpelt, who discovered me through a press article that featured my latest manga at the time. Press opportunities are definitely useful to make yourself known, and here too I have a video if you're interested. Concerning rates, I was in my last year of study, still charging quite at random, and I proposed a global package that seemed, again, huge to me. I won't say a price out of respect, but because we're still in contact, but basically he paid for a 40-page brochure at the rate I charge for a single page now. But honestly, this was a commission I don't regret at all, because this order gave me a real insight into working with professional clients, as I was working with individuals before. The managing family invited me to the chateau. I could explore all the corners, even the secret ones like the kitchen, and they offered me a gourmet dinner, an overnight stay and breakfast. It was really such an amazing experience, and they were so kind and respectful, and I really loved every moment of it. Afterwards, I was also allowed to reuse and sell the manga personally at conventions and keep all the profits. It was with this order that I started to assert myself and stop letting myself be pushed around to please clients, and that I started to let go of thoughts like I should have asked for more for all the work, or I should have dared to say stop to the client after the 50th change. I started to actually doing it instead of keeping it to myself. For this manga, it was Yannick who took care of all the documentation, the photos, the historical research, and took care of all the translations and reviewed the cover with the chateau's graphic designer. As for me, I was able to concentrate 100% on the creation of the manga pages and on the sending it to print because I was used to it and I proposed it myself. You are an illustrator. You don't have all the skills in the world, and good clients respect that, and they get organized if you explain them that you are not a graphic designer, that you are not a translator, that you are not whatever. I always repeat it, but a commission is a collaboration where everyone respects each other and brings value, so that we can all move forward together. Bod Nature, Japanese ads for children. Still in my last year of study, this new commission consisted in creating a logo for a Luxembourgish association that wanted to protect nature around a Japanese temple and to collect funds to replant trees. This was later developed with small visuals representing the animals in the logo and a promotional mini-comic to raise awareness among children. This was the request that surprised me the most out of all of them, because the client found me in a Google search. They were looking for the right illustrator to make a link between Luxembourg and Japan, and they came across my website. So seriously, a professional and well-referenced website with the right keywords is a very powerful tool. For the record, I didn't have Instagram at the time, and I didn't even know it existed. Concerning pricing, I really don't know anymore, but from memory I remember that I had raised my prices and there was actually some hesitation from the client group. However, they saw the value of adding illustrations to make it easier to educate a younger audience and children, so they agreed, and it was really a win for me because it showed that people existed who respected my work. For the little lesson, the more experience you have, the more comfortable you will feel. Client negotiations can be scary at first. You're afraid you won't get that project you want so badly, you need the money, you feel small and new and inexperienced, but I promise it will be okay. Keep creating, believe in yourself, and you will see that with every commission you tackle, you will gain experience and confidence, and you will be able to slowly but surely grow and price what you're truly worth. Having positive experiences with happy and respectful clients like Slam, Claude, and Westworld showed me that there were people who believed in me, that I could satisfy them with my artwork, so my confidence grew and I dared to raise my prices little by little until I was able to make a living with it. Hope CD for Ghost Waltzing. My last commission as a student was to illustrate the cover of a CD for Ghost Waltzing, a Grammy-winning musician from Luxembourg. When the CD came out, there was a whole shelf at Fnac, one of the big French-speaking multimedia stores around here, and it was quite impressive. So, how did a big celebrity like him discover me? The first contact was made at a book fair, though I don't remember if he happened to be passing by or if he had read a press article and visited me as a result, but I think it was because of a press article. And it was quite ironic too, because our first meeting was at the Conservatoire de Luxembourg, where he had his office, which happened to be the building right next to my business school. So, I had raised my rates, but at the time I didn't know anything about rights yet. Actually, you don't charge for an illustration only. You charge for the permission to use your design printed on several media, to make a commercial profit from it, and to distribute it nationally or internationally. To put it simply, the same poster created for your hometown's hairdresser will be less expensive compared to a worldwide distribution by L'Oreal. And if this is the route you want to take, I highly encourage you once again to look this up. Regarding the lesson, I think you'll see a recurring pattern in my commissions by now. People contacted me either through posters, conventions, press article, or online, always at a local level. And I'm aware that I've been extremely lucky actually to have clients come to me from early on, but it was also mainly due to a huge amount of work where I showed up any way I could to show people that I existed, that I was there, that I was an artist open to projects. You really can't imagine how many potential people are around you that could be clients. And if local fame is a strategy, once again, I'll expand on that in another video. Various commissions before turning pro. The aforementioned commissions were the most important ones that allowed me to gain first experiences while being still a student. There were also a lot of small gigs like fan arts, family portraits, character designs and covers for books or mascots to illustrate, for instance, a teacher's worksheets. In 80% of the cases, people had discovered me at a convention and followed me for a while on Facebook before sending me their request. Other elements that also played an important role in getting clients were first, word of mouth. 4 years after the Chateau de Westworld, for example, one of their acquaintances who had appreciated the manga and found it original contacted me to advertise his Ratafia de Champagne. Second, thanks to the visuals of the commissions I posted online, people could see that I was available, I was doing commissions, and they also imagined personal projects. The posts you create can help you sell well, but still be subtle without selling too much. And if social media is a thing, once again, more ideas in another video. Third, also your portfolio helps people to see your world and imagine what you can do. For example, I created a poster for a beauty salon because my client's daughter had bought my art book. The mother saw one of my beauty-oriented illustrations in it and thought it would look great in her salon. So a portfolio with a neat style that shows what you can do is also a great step. For this part's lesson, I briefly want to talk about the fact that I was trying to please everyone. I really thought I had to fit in, I wanted to survive and make money, but you can't do everything and you are allowed to turn down projects. For instance, I accepted a Transformers commission, which was very difficult for me because mecha is absolutely not my thing. Similarly, I tried to master digital painting within 1 month for a potential commission where the client didn't want traditional. So I promised to train, but obviously you can't master a whole technique you've never used in a single month. And my rendering was very amateurish, and of course I didn't get the gig. By forcing yourself to do things you don't like or don't master, you'll get frustrated, you lose confidence, so you do a shabby job, and in return neither you nor the client are happy. You have your style, you have your unique universe, and your real clients will love you for it. Various commissions after turning pro. It might interest you that all these commissions were done between 2014 and 2017. That year I finished my studies and went straight into freelancing, but the bigger commercial projects came toward the end of 2019. I had a transition period between those 2 years where I doubled down on conventions and manga workshops to first stabilize my income, and this allowed me to get in touch with new people, new clients, and finally other illustrations with whom I was able to connect more, who guided me and thanks to whom I started to better manage my confidence for better client negotiations. 2020 was the year of my burnout because I still had some moments where it was difficult for me to frame my professional relationships. So I kept just accepting too much work at once because I didn't want to make people wait and to disappoint them. And since I got back to commissions in 2021 after a longer break, I really feel a change in my clientele and recently put several clients on a 6 months waiting list. And they waited and they were happy when it was their turn because they trusted me and really wanted my work. At the moment, I'm turning away more clients than I'm actually taking on, but it's more profitable than it used to be because I've raised my rates so that 1 or 2 big projects can make me a full month's pay. This means less work, less stress, but more peace of mind and the ability to work on projects that I'm really passionate about, which is good for me and for my clients. As far as clients are concerned, now it's mainly returning clients who met me at conventions again or who get recommended by my artist friends or thanks to other projects. As I explained in my video about collaborations, being surrounded by other artists can really propel you forward so much, and you can refer clients to each other if you don't have the time or the right art style, or you can simply take advantage of each other's audience with collaborative projects. Now, I just want to make it clear that I don't live solely off commissions. They usually make around 1/4 of my total income, along with classes, shop and conventions. And if I had to sum up my journey from amateur artist to freelance illustrator as far as commissions are concerned, I would say that what allowed me to succeed in the first place was to develop my local reputation by being everywhere and working on various commissions to gain experience and build up an interesting portfolio. However, to get to the next level with bigger commercial work and to move away from individuals, I think the key to success was to work on my self-confidence and confront my fears of missing opportunities, running out of money. In short, just accepting my worth and that everything will be fine if I put in the work. Since then, I have signed with ministries, with local towns and clients to accept my rates without negotiating because they want it. People feel your professionalism and your confidence, and once again, it is possible to start from scratch even if you're doing total bullshit with your pricing as I've done for years. You have the opportunity to learn, to grow, and if you persevere, you can do it. And I know this video was unusually long, but I truly believe we don't talk enough about the beginnings. We see the big guys like up there, but we don't necessarily know how we can actually get started and do it ourselves as beginner artists. So I hope this has given you some ideas on how to find your own illustration clients, about what's possible for you, and I've also included all the useful video links and my course on commissions in the description to help you even further. So good luck and keep going for your dreams. You can do it.